For our concept development, we are going to make some more number bonds, what we love. We're going to figure out different ways to sort different items to help us make our number bond. So right now, what do we see on the screen? Let's count how many triangles we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 triangles. But looking at those triangles, it doesn't look like any of those triangles are different. So if I was to sort them, I would say that 4 of them are gray and 0 of them are another color. Or 4 of them are little and 0 are big. So those could be different ways that we can sort them. But let's look on the next slide. I separated them by color this time, and let's make a number bond about those triangles. This time, I took our triangles and separated them by color. Let's count them as they pull up to make sure that I have the 4. Because, sometimes Miss Fielder forgets how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I still have my same 4 triangles, but this time I changed colors. I have 2 that are red and 2 that are blue. So let's label our number bond first. Remember, our whole bubble has 2 lines that go up to it. So this one has 2 lines, so this one is my whole bubble. And I know that these 2 down here are my part bubbles. But remember, Cowboys, number bonds are not always going to be set up like this. They can be upside down or sideways. So always remember, the whole bubble has 2 lines that touches it. So now that we have 4 triangles, if we had all of them together, which bubble would we put that in? Would we put it in our part bubble, all of them all together? Or would we put it in our whole bubble? We would put them in our whole bubble. So let's count and make sure that I put all of our triangles in our whole bubble. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I put all 4 of our triangles in our whole bubble. Now where should I put the 2 red triangles? In one of our part bubbles, correct. 1, 2. And where should I put my other 2 triangles? In my other part bubble. I would not put them together because they are different by color. And let me turn off my camera real quick to show you the 2. You see the 2 blue triangles are in the other part bubble. So I have 2 red triangles in one part, 2 blue triangles in another part, and 4 all together in my whole. My turn, your turn. 4 is the same as 2 and 2. Or my turn, your turn. 2 and 2 make 4. So now we are going to write our triangles in something that we call a number sentence. And a number sentence is just a breakup of a number bond. So remember that, a number sentence is kind of like our number bond. Do you see this right here? This is called an equal sign. And I want you to think, how many lines does an equal sign have? An equal sign has 2 lines. And just like our whole bubble has 2 lines that touches it. So like a number bond, we have an equal sign. So next to our equal sign in this spot right here is where our whole would go. Our equal sign touches our whole. The 2 lines, just like our 2 lines on our number bond, touches the whole. So remember, how many did we have in our whole? I remember we had 2 red and 2 blue. So let me see, 2 red and 2 blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. We had 4 all together. So I'm going to write a 4. These 2 lines are like our part bubbles. Those are the two numbers we put together to make our whole. Now remember, we had 2 red triangles and 2 blue triangles, and we had those in our parts. So I'm going to put 2 and 2 right here. And this says 2 plus 2 equals 4. Or my turn, your turn, 2 and 2 make 4. Just like what we learned when we did our number bond. Way to go, cowboys. So we have another one. This time, all of our shapes are the same color, but we have a different shape. So we can sort them by shapes because we have a circle and some triangles. And we know that circles and triangles are not the same thing. So this time we need to figure out how our number bond will look for these. First, before we do that, let's label our number bond, just so we can make sure that we're putting our numbers in the right spots. So, just like our number sentence, our whole bubble has 2 lines that goes to it. So I know that this one up here has to be my whole bubble because I see this line and this line. And that means that these 2 down here must be my part bubbles. So, I remember that when I write a number or shapes in my whole bubble, it has to be how many there are all together. How many there are all together. So I'm going to count to see how many shapes I have all together. That means all of the shapes. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I see that I have 5 shapes all together. So I'm going to put that in my whole bubble. But I see that some of my shapes are broken up because I have circles and triangles. So I'm going to look, how many circles do I have? Well, I only see 1 circle. And I know that that circle is part of my whole. So I know that it needs to go in a part bubble. So I'm going to put a 1 in this part bubble. And now I still have the rest. So now I need to see how many triangles I have to put in my other part bubble and see if it's going to make the whole. So let's count how many triangles I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write a 4. And I'm going to use my fingers to make sure that my numbers add up right. So I have 1 on one hand and 4 on the other hand. And I'm going to count to see if it really equals up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means that 1 and 4 equals 5. And remember, cowboys, using your fingers is a great way to check to see if your answer is correct. So now we're going to make our number sentence again. So we had 1 shape, which was our circle, and we had 4 different shapes, which were our triangles, and they made 5 shapes all together. Now we need to put that into our number sentence. So remember what I said before. We have our equal sign right here with our 2 lines, and it needs to touch our whole, which is this one back here by itself. And I remember that in my whole bubble, I put a 5 because I had 5 shapes all together. So that means that goes into my whole. And then I remember that I had 1 circle, so that would go in right here like it's a part. And I remember I had 4 triangles, so that would go right here. And I'm going to check again just to make sure that this is right. So I'm going to see if 1 and 4 make 5. So let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my turn, your turn, cowboys. 1 plus 4 equals 5. My turn, your turn. 1 and 4 make 5. So remember, cowboys, a number sentence is just like our number bonds, and we've done great jobs with our number bonds. And also remember that you should use your fingers to check your work after you're done. Way to go, cowboys. Now we have another one where we're going to sort them by color again. These are the same shapes that we had last time, but this time it does not matter if they're different shapes because we're doing it by color. The color is the important part. So I see that we have blue and red. So I remember from the last part that we had 5 shapes all together. I remember that. I put it in my brain. So I remember that 5 all together. So what bubble would that go into? Oh, it would go into my whole bubble. But first, let me label my number bond. Oh, this one looks different from the other ones we did. So let's see, which bubble has 2 lines? Oh, this one does. This line is touching it and this line is touching it. So this must be my whole bubble. And these ones at the top this time must be my part bubbles. That's a weird P. Let me erase that and write another one. So, and I did it again. Anyway, so now we are going to sort these ones by color. So it does not matter if it is a circle or a triangle. It only matters what color it is. So like I was saying before, I remember from before that there were 5 shapes all together, but I'm going to count them just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I remembered right. I'm going to put that in my whole bubble because there are 5 shapes all together. All together we counted 5 shapes, so that is my whole. Now if we're sorting them by color, that means that in one part we need to put how many are blue, and in the other part we need to put how many are red. So let me count. So I'm going to do blue first. I see I have 1, 2. I have 2 shapes that are blue, 1 circle and 1 triangle. So I'm going to write 2 in one of the parts because we are separating them by color. And then I see that there's 1, 2, 3 red shapes. So I'm going to write a 3 in the other one. That is a very funky 3. I'm going to use my fingers to check to make sure that my numbers make sense. So I'm going to put 2 on this hand. I'm going to put 3 on this hand, and I'm going to count to make sure that they equal 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means that 2 and 3 make 5. 2 blue shapes and 3 red shapes make 5 shapes all together. Now let's make a number sentence about this. So I see that right here is my equal sign, my 2 lines, and that means that next door we need to write our whole. And this time it's easy because my number bond is right next door. So I see that in this hole there is a 5. So right here on this line, I'm going to make a 5. And I remember that these 2 front lines are like my 2 part bubbles. So on the first line, I'm going to write my 2 just like I did up here. And on the second line, I'm going to write my 3 just like I did right here. And I'm going to check one more time to make sure this is right. So 2 on this hand, 3 on this hand, and let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means that my turn, your turn, 2 and 3 make 5. My turn, your turn, 2 plus 3 equals 5. Way to go, cowboys.